So as we talked about earlier on in the meeting, we're going to do a quick demo with Paulina on how to start a project with the Git synchronization and how to do the basic commands we talked about. So first of all, you'll need to have like up-to-date versions of Rstudio and Git, of course, and you will need to make sure they are talking together. So this is not the topic of this demo, and if you have any questions or issues with that, which can be complicated sometimes, I recommend you go to the website Happy Git with R, which has many tutorials and troubleshooting guides. So I will show you how I create a project and initiate it. There are several ways of going around it. So this is, keep in mind, this is just one way to do it among others. So how I do it, I usually connect to my GitLab account and start a new project here with the blue button here. So let's create a blank project. So when you create a project, you need to find it a project name. So it's good to find a good project name before you start, because it can be complicated if you want to change it as when you started it, especially if you are several collaborators on the project. So we have this test project. You can modify the URL, but it's pretty standard to keep your handle and the project name. You can choose the visibility level, which is either private, which means that only you can have access to the project, plus people you decide you want to have access to do, or you can set it to public, which means anybody connected on the internet with your URL can see what's going on. So this one will start as private. Create project. So for now, we just have an empty GitLab project. So now I'll open Rstudio and create the project with Rstudio. So, whoops. You need to create a new project in Rstudio. And so when you create a project with version control in Rstudio, so you choose version control Git, all the files within the project folder will be tracked by default by GitLab. Project test. So you tell GitLab Rstudio what is the URL of the project, and you create your project. So now I have a project which is created and opened and synchronized with Git. So just to show you what happened on my computer, in my projects folder, I have this test project which was created and which contains so a couple of our project file related files, and the Git folder, which is a hidden folder which contains all which Git uses to work, and the git ignore file, which is the file in which you want to list all documents that you do not want to be tracked by Git. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll quickly create a working document. So we'll just do a template R Markdown script, test R Markdown. Okay. So this is the classic example for R Markdown. Now I will save it here, test document, save. So now I have in my folder, let me open my folder again, this test doc RMD that was just created, okay? What we see, so this I haven't shown you yet. In Rstudio, all that has to do with Git appears in this Git panel here. On my computer, it's on the top right. It may be elsewhere on your computer, but it's everything that's in link with Git happens here. So to open the, so we see that files have appeared here. And basically the files that will appear in this window are any file that have been modified by you since your last pull. Or no, sorry, since your last commit. So basically I have 3 files that were modified. And actually, so what we see here, it's the difference since last time. So this is all green because they were all, just created. So they are new files. Okay. All right, init, commit. So, oops, sorry, that was a little quick. I'm sorry. So to commit a file, you need to click on the little cross. So Paulina will show you more slowly, which is the staging. And once you've clicked all the little boxes you want to commit, you write your commit message here and you push on the commit button here. Now that I have modified the project, which is creating 3 new files, I want to send them these modifications to the remote. So now I have done all my commits. I just click on the push button, which is here. So now I get a message that all my files were sent to the master. Okay. So this means everything went well. So we can check on the project repo online. So I refresh my page. I see now that in my project, I have 3 files, which are the ones that I created and sent here. I see that for each, the last commit was the one I just did. In my comment was init. And if we click on one, we see that it was last modified by me, Mathieu Roland, 2 minutes ago. And also, so which is nice, GitLab renders when you have a markdown file, so you see a nice version of it. And so everything is fine. So now what we want to do is to collaborate with Paulina. So what I'll do, I'll add her as a member to the project. So you click here on the member, search member. So I'll search for her username and I choose the level of permission I want to grant her. So it goes from guest to maintainer. So guest, it's just you can look at the code and do nothing, up to maintainer, where she has the same permissions as me. She can modify files, invite other members, etc. So invite. So now I will stop sharing my screen and Paulina will share hers and she can show you what happens on her side once she has been invited.
To see the project that I'm now collaborating with with Matthew, I need to go to my GitLab account, sign in, and then I should see the project that Matthew has shared with me. So indeed, I see it. It's the first project, first link, which is the test project. So you can see that already here. I can see all the folder that he has committed. And what I want to do now is to simply clone it to my local machine. So you do it by clicking this button clone and copying the URL of the project. So in this case, it will be the HTTPS URL. When we have it copied, we go to Rstudio and we repeat exactly the same steps as Matthew did before. So we create a new project under the version control of it, and then we paste the URL of the project. We also can choose the directory where the project is saved. So I create a project. Yes. So now it's copied to my local machine. So you see I have 3 files in my working directory. I also have them on my disk. So in the directory that I have saved them, this project. And now I can work on the files. For example, I can delete the plot that this script was creating. This will be the modification that I want to share with Matthew. So I made the modification. I have to save the file. And now in my Git tab, you will see that there was a modification of this file. So basically, if I want to share this change with Matthew, I need to first stage the file, which means I'm indicating to Git which file I want to be committed. After this stage, I am giving an informative description. So I did remove the plot. Remove the plot. And with this description, I can make a comment. So I commit. We see the change that has been done. So there were 8 lines that were deleted. And now the last step is to send it to the remote directory, so to push. And also you will see here that Git is already knowing that there are some changes that have been committed on my machine, but they were not synchronized with the remote repository. So what I'm going to do now is to synchronize, to push. And all the files have been sent to the remote repository. Also, this message from here disappeared because now everything is synchronized with the remote repo.
So now if we refresh the project, we should see that the remote has been updated. So we see this markdown, which has now been modified last by Paulina. She says that she removed the plot, and we see here that the document doesn't have the plot anymore. So now I want to synchronize the modifications on my side. So I just do a poll. Git pull. It goes and fetches the modifications, and I have this summary message which says only the test doc was modified with 8 deletions, which corresponds to the 8 lines that Paulina deleted. And if I have a look to the document, indeed it has removed the plot. So let's say I want to do one last modification. I say new paragraph, blah, blah, blah. Let's say this. So I added this new text paragraph. It appears here in the commit panel. Commit. I want to commit these final modifications. So I click on the box to stage to say which modifications I want to commit. Add new, new paragraph, commit. So I will push again, as we have already seen. So now we have seen how I can collaborate with Paulina on this document. So now other interesting things that Git enables us to do is using the history button. So here we see the whole history of our file. So this is our test document file. So first we have the init. Then we have done by me on May the 3rd. The time should be there, but okay. Then a modification by Paulina. She removed the plot, and I added a new paragraph, which is the last version of the document. And what you see at the bottom is what was modified since last time. And a super handy feature, among others, is you're able to view the file, how it was at a given point in time. So let's say you want to see what the test doc was like at the init. So you just look for the init command, test doc, and you can click on this view file button here, which shows you the document in its original state. If I want to view the file in the second commit after Paulina's modification, I just look for the test doc, view file, how the doc was at the second commit, etc. And this is super handy. Okay, so I'll conclude. So I think here we show the main functionalities that you use when using Git and when collaborating on Git. And we hope it was clear and that it helped you understand how you can gain by using Git and how straightforward it is when you use it within Rstudio. And thank you for your attention.